Here you can see I have a front fork of this Piranha 140. It's disassembled, and these are the components, some of them, not all. Over here I want to show you guys this. Here's one that's still partially, like, it's basically put together. And real quick, I'm going to show you how it comes apart and show you what you need to rebuild it. What you're going to need is a 17mm wrench and a 24mm. What you have to do is take this cap off. If it's in the bike, I'd recommend before you take it out of the triple clamps, go ahead and bust this loose just in case it is tight. I mean, you don't really have to tighten it too much. There's an O-ring, so when you go to reassemble it, don't crush it, you know. But sometimes they're tight. Bust it loose on the bike, then bring it to the bench. At that point, you'll unscrew that cap, and what you'll find is it'll come out like that. Here you'll take a 17, a 24, and break that loose. Once you've done that, this cap will come off. At that point, you can take the 17mm nut off, washer, and the spring assembly will come out. Now you can see here that this one is all busted up. And I've looked everywhere online. I've went to the forums, asked around. I can't figure out where you get these plastic pieces, so I've given up on it. I'm going to be machining my own. So for now though, hopefully yours will be in good shape and you won't have to worry about that. If not, you're going to have to get onto a lathe and make your own. So that's one thing I'll be doing, is machining those out. After that, you'll be left with this assembly, and at that point it'll just pull out. And that's about as far as you'll have to go with this side of the thing. I've already taken this apart, so here you can see there's a dust seal and a circlip. What you'll find is that inside of here you'll have these components in the reverse order. You'll pull your dust cover off. It comes out with ease. Just use a screwdriver. Then there'll be a circlip inside of here which holds your fork seal into place. You can pop that out with a screwdriver or a little pick. I use a little pick. Just popped right out. And then here's the fun part. You got to get this fork seal out. I watched some videos. People get them out with screwdrivers and stuff. I don't know how they did it. I actually, on the other fork tube, I made a little jig and had it in there and tried to beat it out with a hammer. That did nothing but damage. So here's what I found, and this is the important part of this video. Just cut it out with a Dremel. I'm going to show you that right now. This is what I used. I just used a little grinder bit, and I just cut through the rubber. And once you get through the steel reinforcement inside, everything just springs loose, and you can literally just pick it out with your finger. I'll show you that now. Alright, I've grinded most way through all the steel, and at this point you can just take a screwdriver and there's a little spring. Go ahead and just pop that out. See it moving real easily? Just bend it just a little bit, and I think at this point I can grab it with some needle nose and pull it right out. There you go. Way easier than trying to beat it out with a hammer or use a screwdriver or something like that. You just gotta be really careful. Don't go too deep to where you start grinding into your fork tube. That wouldn't be good. Here's what's left after you get the fork seal out. You'll have the dust boot, which we already took out, the circlip, which we already took out, the fork seal, which I cut. Then you'll have a washer. You'll have a guide bushing, a spacer, and a guide bushing. And these two parts are one and the same, the bushings. Alright, so I've laid everything out to rebuild my front forks of this Piranha 140. And these are the fork seals that I bought. There's the part number. And the way they measure out, it says right here on the fork seal, you can actually see all the dimensions. So you get 45 on the outside, 33-ish in the front, or in the inside, and then the depth is about 11 millimeters. This is going to work perfect. So with those, we're good to go, and the first part is to assemble this piece right here. I've got everything in order. There's a washer. Goes on, then the spring assembly, and there you can see the custom-made spring retainers. Okay, there that is. And then on top, I've got one washer and a nut. Now I've already set up the other one, and what I'm going to do is take my dial calipers and measure the remaining threads and make them the same. Then after that, the cap will thread on, so we'll get back in a minute. So I went ahead and measured these out. It's basically your preload, 12.5 millimeters on this one, and I matched the other fork. Next step is we need to assemble this tube. And the way this one works, I'm pre-lubricating with a little bit of fork oil. So you put one of your guide bushings in. There it goes. Then there's this large spacer. And then your second guide bushing. There it is. There's one washer. This one obviously didn't pass quality control. Oh wait, it did. It's made in China. We'll leave it. And at this point, we're going to drive in the fork seal, then the circlip, and dust boot. Here I've got the new fork seal. We're going to go ahead and get this located. I've got a rubber mallet. I'll get it started with that. There she is, started flush, and at this point I'm going to take a socket and drive it home. Alright, there you have it. I've got it driven in, and now all I've got to do is add the circlip. And that's as easy as just pushing it in. You can hear it click, and now it's in the groove inside the fork tube. At this point I need to install the dust boot, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. That just snaps into place. I'm reusing the old dust boot because I think it's in fine shape. Take just a little bit of fork oil, coat the inside of that and the seal, the fork seal. Go ahead and put it back together. Yeah, it feels like a snug fit. And here from the other end we can see the threads that I measured. Put the end cap on. And with my 17mm wrench, at 24 on the cap, go ahead and snug that up. I don't think this needs to be too tight. That should do it. Now, Okay, now I'll put that in the vise, just snug it just a little bit, and then we can fill it right there. I decided I might as well just pop the cap and fill the fork that way instead of going through this little hole in the top. So I got myself a little funnel, stick that in there, and add 200 milliliters. So I'm going to start with. I might add some more afterwards. I'm going to go ahead and pour in the 5-weight Maxima fork oil. So I've added the 200 milliliters of fork oil. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it back together. I had a little bit of spillage. Just give it some time to settle in. It also helps to compress the forks once or twice, and then a little bit of oil is sucked up into the piston. So there you have it. The fork is rebuilt, and I will say you can buy these off of eBay. You can get the whole set, 2 forks for 150 bucks or something like that. But honestly, I wouldn't recommend them to anybody. These forks are kind of basically pieces of crap, and if you have the money to upgrade, I definitely would suggest you do that. But for now, my purposes, these are going to work perfectly. So there you have it on how to rebuild China-made forks.